Thank you and welcome to Shrek Kwando. I will be teaching you many ways of Shrek. This is how Shrek strikes. And this is how Shrek saves the princess. This is how Shrek defeated Lord Farquaad. This is the move Shrek uses combination with Donkey's attack. This is Shrek's ultimate final move, Shock. Thanks for joining Shrek Kwando. Remember.
Hello, today we will prepare a meal for our King Shrek the Ogre. This meal will help Shrek become stronger. He shall defeat all enemies.
Well, it's hard to believe, but 2021 marks 20 years, 2 decades since the movie Shrek came out, an animated feature from DreamWorks. The rights, which were originally owned by Steven Spielberg, he later sold them. And you may not have realized that the voice, Mike Myers, of Shrek, the ogre, was originally supposed to be played or voiced by Chris Farley, who sadly died in 1997. So Mike Myers steps in, and the film goes on to be a hit. They put it together for just $60 million, but ultimately it ended up grossing almost $500 million when it was all said and done. A big hit across the globe. In fact, it won 6 BAFTA awards in Great Britain. In 2020, so 19 years later, was actually nominated to go into the United States Library of Congress, being nominated because the voters felt that it had either cultural or historical significance in society. So many facts you might not have known about the movie Shrek. But one key thing you probably didn't know is that the movie is all about international politics. I explain this in 3 ways. So first off, the film Shrek is all about hegemonic power. When we look at the film deep down, what you have are the main characters. You have Shrek, you have Fiona, you have the donkey voiced by Eddie Murphy, and you have the king, Lord Farquaad. And the king is put in power without a free and fair election. And what you see him doing almost immediately in this film is putting the ogre to work, finding him, ripping him from his swamp, and setting him off on a deed, something that would only benefit the king under essentially false pretenses, and basically using both Shrek and the donkey, not a purebred horse, not a loftier animal in society, but the donkey, and we can clearly see the metaphors there. The king using both of these creatures at his will for his own devices, at his own disposal, and clearly you can see the link to hegemonic power that we see in our very globally connected society of today. Secondly, you have a clear-cut example of, number one, lack of unionization, but also we can see the outsourcing of labor. The king, once again, is going to Shrek, going to the swamp, taking the donkey from his place when he shows up with Shrek, pairing them together, and using them as cheap labor to accomplish his own goals. We see this on the international level with different nations whenever they're taking labor from other places or sending goods abroad and using cheap labor there when there can be poor working conditions. We know that Shrek was almost killed while he was performing this job. Same with the donkey. Fiona herself had to defend herself, and we know that she was always part ogre, eventually full ogre. Spoiler alert there. So that's the second way that you see the tie-in with international politics, which of course we now know is what Shrek was all about. And the third way that the film Shrek was all about international politics is when you look at the importance of multilateral coalitions. And we see this all over the world right now. We've seen it for the past several decades. And you look at Afghanistan, places like that. And if you do not engage in successful coalition building right from the start, your mission is dead in the water. And this harkens back all the way to the 1930s, the 1920s, World War I, just even beyond that, really back to the dinosaurs. And what you're seeing when you look at this concept is that you have to bring together different factions, different coalitions, and then meld them, build them, bring them together despite their differences in what may try to pull them apart. And so in Shrek, we see an ogre, we see a donkey, we see them coming together, marching onwards, strategizing despite their differences. One's green, one is sort of a grayish, blackish fur color. So different species, different races, if you will, coming from different backgrounds, one from storybook fairy tales, one from swamp. And you see a clear-cut example of the importance of multilateral coalitions. And so in the end, spoiler alert, they basically succeed. Shrek gets the girl and ends up with Fiona. But even Shrek and Fiona had to form a coalition in this film, eventually realizing, first thinking that they were different species, human or ogre, and then realizing, okay, we're one and the same. But when you're building a coalition, you have to sort of come together earlier on, and they struggled before they did that. Once they did that, they fell in love. You had a great movie that grossed $500 million. So this presentation hopefully has showed you how the film Shrek is all about international politics. And again, 6 BAFTA awards, Library of Congress, 20-year anniversary now in 2021.